From the Mercy One studio, Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. I'm Kelly Mesher-Collins with the Diocese of Des Moines. On today's show, we're visiting with Jeanne Wells, the Executive Director of the Catholic Tuition Organization, to talk about tuition assistance, tax credits, and more. But before we get to today's interview, well, it's a beautiful fall day, Bishop Joensen. I heard you finally washed your car.
It's word out on the street, or, you can no longer read in the back. You read words in the back of it. Yes, the first time since I've come to be Bishop of Des Moines. That's a pretty sad statement. We finally found time to do that and get it cleaned out inside. So, hopefully it's not a petri dish for anything right now. But, that was one of the first as we begin to try to take a little bit of a day off on Thursdays. We're still working on that. But also got out to Easter Lake last Sunday for the first time. My, what a jewel that is on the southeast side of Des Moines. And just a marvelous day. I was incognito in shorts and a jacket and things. There were a couple ambassadors of the city. I don't know what nationality they were, but they greeted me both times we passed and making our walk around the lake. So the golden changing of the leaves and everything else. So we all love it. I think fall is probably the favorite season for most of us. So, and we've passed our Ember Days already. The celebration kind of commending, and a kind of mild days of penance, preparation, kind of spiritual purification, but also commending to God nature and all that we're about on the Feast of the Triumph of the Cross. So I know Father Christopher Pishu, pastor of St. Augustine, had a nice little kind of discussion of Ember Days. It was kind of enlightening. I did not know there were 4 periods of them as well. But and so just with the chance, a little leisure to actually finally read the pastoral letter on the Good Samaritan that the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith released. It was released a little bit ago, but it was actually on the heels of our ad limina visit that the CDF signed off on it, and then Pope Francis approving it. What a beautiful reflection on kind of we think about October Respect Life Month, but and the way in which we want to defend the whole spectrum of life from conception to natural death. And I think this is really integrating that way in which our own human vulnerability, we all experience that, our limitations, and against this horizon of a life that endures forever, that Christ has shared with us. And so this kind of gaze that not only healthcare people bring upon their work and the patients that they're there, the human regarding another human with a kind of love that takes into the wholeness and the dignity of persons that might be there, but that ethic of care that would be present. So I think I was really inspired by reading this, and I know I'll be speaking at the Iowans for Life banquet in November, and it's probably seeding some of that too, but it's got some interesting little phrases that a society deserves a status of civil if it develops antibodies against the culture of waste. Antibodies against the culture of waste. There are no disposable human beings, not even at their weakest and most compromised state. And so the kind of love that we bring to bear, opening up another to realize that they're the object of God's unconditional love by the way that we respond to them and relate to them. And so I think it brings forth not only the affirmation of palliative care, kind of trying to relieve the pain that might be there, but that we're not merely passive participants in the Paschal mystery, that our suffering united with Christ, and how we then feel this challenge at the same time to remain close to those who might be sick or who are maybe making that last leg of the journey that could be there. It also kind of challenges us, though, because it does say that for those who've maybe surrendered hope and not simply embracing death as an ultimately human act, but actively pursuing death through physician-assisted suicide and euthanasia. And it does say as pastorally as much we want to bring God's love and charity to bear, that it may call for us not to administer the sacraments, because the person who is bound and determined to terminate one's life by intentional choice is not really receptive to the sacraments of anointing the sick, the Eucharist, and confirmation if that's not present. So it's kind of strong medicine, if you will, but it's also that therapeutic goal to bring a person to conversion, even those latter phases. So the Good Samaritan, Samaritanus bonus on the critical care persons, and so I think that's something that we can be reflecting with healthcare people and others as we go forward. So good news from the Church again about the respect for all human life.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen.
Thank you, Blessman International, for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio. Everyone lives their life 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. How we use that time directly affects if our life will leave a significant impact or not. Each year, Blessman International leads Central Iowans on a 12-day, all-inclusive experience sharing the heart of Christ with children in South Africa. Teams are forming to do something significant in an African child's life. Learn more at blessmaninternational.org. That's blessmaninternational.org.
Thank you, Big Red Q Quick Print, for underwriting the sports report. Family owned and operated since 1980, Big Red Q Quick Print is a full-service print shop ready to help you with all your printing needs with speed and accuracy. Forms, manuals, brochures, letterhead, envelopes, business cards, custom invitations, design, and bindery. Big Red Q Quick Print, located across from Merle Hay Mall. Online at bigredq-desmoines.com. Big Red Q Quick Print. We make printing easy.
Welcome back. I'm Kelly Metra-Collins with the Diocese of Des Moines. On today's show, we're visiting with Jeanne Wells, Executive Director of the Catholic Tuition Organization, to talk about tuition assistance, tax credits, and more.
Good morning, Jeanne. Good to have you with us. You know, the roles are reversed here, as you know, you with your own show usually interviewed me. I think the last time we were together on Iowa Catholic Radio a few months ago.
It's like the tables are turned.
Yeah, so we banter a little bit with each other. We pray together, sometimes at Mass at the cathedral. I don't know that we party a whole lot together, but you bring a certain joy and things to bear. You know, making it personal. Peace to you again in the wake of your mom's death past June, I believe it was. And how's the family doing with kind of that absence of one who was, for many generations, part of your life?
Yeah, she was 97 when she passed, and we just met together, this past weekend or so, and her grave stone had been placed, and so we met at the cemetery, the siblings, and did a little prayer service with her next to Dad, and it was another time for healing. So, you know, she's happy. She was ready to go. So we shared that joy with her.
What a great witness, that, you know, that embrace of the next phase, passing over to the eternal life of God. And what a beautiful Catholic thing that you did too. Kind of we don't have to wait till November to remember the dead. I think that kind of sacramental presence that you offered each other in that way. So may your folks be abiding and remaining in joy with each other. You also brought on board a colleague here in the CTO, Catholic Tuition Organization, Lauren Elliott. Is that right?
That's right. Well, you know, it's interesting, Bishop. She joined about 2 weeks prior to COVID when we shut down the office. So we've done, we rarely see each other in person, but, you know, thank goodness for the various Zoom technologies, because we've done all of our work together while we've been face-to-face on Zoom, and from training to, you know, now knee-deep in the fundraising time of the year. So, yeah, I'm sure I'll know her when I run into her on the street. But she might be wearing a mask, so who knows?
What a great asset for you, though, as well, because all that's going on with the Catholic Tuition Organization, yes. And it's been quite a dynamic contribution to the livelihood of our schools and the families who can look for support so that they can participate in the mission of forming not just, you know, in knowledge, but in faith as well. So how many children and families has CTO helped over the years? And again, how long has CTO been in existence in the Diocese of Des Moines?
We were established in 2006 by the grace of a bipartisan legislation here in Iowa, and throughout the years from 2006
I remember
until
those
even
days
this
when there
year.
used to be bipartisanship. You know, that kind of historical relic of our society.
You should write a history book on that.
So people are scratching their head. What, bipartisanship?
What? Could you spell that, please?
Okay.
Yeah, well, we've had Republican, Democratic majorities in the governor's office as well, and they have continued to advance the cause of school choice. You know, back in 2006, they passed legislation that provided $2.5 million statewide in tax credits, and this last year it was $15 million. So, you know, that wasn't one fell swoop. That was many times the legislature came together to say, yes, we're going to continue to encourage school choice. And over the years, you asked, we've given over 20,000 awards in tuition assistance, $31 million.
Ooh.
I don't know about you, but that's not pocket change.
No.
And isn't that amazing? This year, it's over 2,063 kiddos will be receiving $3.1 million in assistance to attend our 16 schools, from St. Joe's on the east side all the way over to St. Albert and Council Bluffs. Every school.
So Shelby County and St. Malachy's and Creston and everything.
Yep, and St. Patrick's and Perry. Yep. Every school has families that are in need. And, they apply for tuition assistance, and when they qualify, we help them. If they qualify, you get help. That's the great part.
So they do have to kind of show their financial status and help kind of make that case for themselves.
But absolutely. They fill out an application
affair.
and provide their tax returns, and that information goes to a third-party vendor, so the schools don't get that confidential information. I mean, I can see it, but my memory's not that good, Bishop. I can't remember 2,500 applications. So, we very much respect the privacy of our families and the humility it takes to say, we need help. We need help, and we're going to go to CTO, and I'm so grateful that they can do that because we do want them in our schools.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. And if I, used to be good in math, but if you say 2,063 students, that's about a third of our total enrollment. Is that right? Or
it is. I mean, I just round it to say we have around 6,000 kids. Mm-hmm. And it's like a third. And people think, well, in Iowa, you're just a middle of the road, easy going, everybody's doing good kind of economy. And it's like, we think of ourselves as Iowa nice, but that doesn't mean there aren't families that have need. And they do. Some of them need as much help as we can possibly give them. So, yeah.
And again, because they believe that there's something valuable about Catholic education as opposed to the other options that they would have, and so that they would pursue this. And certainly no stigma, but it's a great blessing that they can be incorporated into the communities and the parish community, obviously, which also is usually providing some measure of support as well. So what kind of reasons do you hear parents speaking of that why the Catholic education is a priority for them?
Well, the obvious one is the faith-based education, but it's more. I mean, you and I was proud of Catholic schools. It's more than the commandments and the sacraments. It's about living life centered on Christ. And yes, kids need to learn the factual things about our faith, but just like in the morning offering, they need to be taught, what does it mean when we say we're offering all of our thoughts, words, and deeds? How does that really play out? So, they learn about service. They learn about virtues and the values that we aspire as, when our lives are rooted in Christ. And, that service above self thing. And little kids need to be kind of taught that because we're just selfish by human nature, and so you kind of teach them about how to give.
You mean you believe in original sin?
I know. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Yeah, I think that's sometimes lost, and everyone thinks angelic nature's here. But anyway, we're all potential tyrants, aren't we? But
right.
But no, I mean it's just the ambiance, the water they're swimming in, if a way. And I was a product of a good public school education.
Yeah.
Parents had to compensate that. But throughout my priesthood, I've been very privileged with parish schools to be very present as an associate pastor, and then also teaching in Catholic high school, and then higher education. Obviously, there is just something where then spirituality doesn't get siloed, or like it's 42 minutes of the day that we're going to talk about religion, and then it goes on to something else. It's the kind of naturalness that becomes the culture in which one is already kind of there, where prayer flows into things, the concern and love for people in that way, and that you may be talking about history, you might be talking about science, but that these things are just seamlessly joined together in that way, and without even realizing it, it shapes a kind of attitude toward the world, a kind of natural attitude, a supernatural attitude that they can have.
Well, and I also look at that academic excellence that we strive for in all of our Catholic schools, and parents recognize that their kids are held to that standard. I was just talking to a parent last night whose kids are now all grown, but that, they were talking about the value of their high school experience and that they couldn't understand why their friends in college were struggling with the expectations that they had from their college professors.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, because you had them in high school. Those expectations, you learned those and you grew with those, and because of that, you excelled academically, and now you're prepared for that next phase of your education and prepared for life. So,
that we're not loving our young people when we let them settle for mediocrity. We're going to call them to excellence and the habits of being, including the discipline, and that we believe in them sometimes more than others might. I could certainly tell when students were matriculating to college, you just knew if they were coming from Dowling, Catholic High School, or others, that they were going to have those habits. They would bring their A game in the classroom. So that was something that we wanted to reinforce as well. And then, of course, the pivot that was made with COVID and how quickly our parochial schools adapted, very nimble.
I just was blown away that day one, following spring break, the kids were ready. And as you know, I have 2 grandchildren at St. Teresa's, and even the preschoolers were, that's, really, you've got COVID, you got all these things going on. The preschoolers, we can let them read a few books in color, right? But no, even the preschoolers down to that level, 4-year-olds, were continuing their curriculum. They didn't miss a beat. Yeah, and we've seen now an influx of parents that are saying, "Oh, I want that for my children." I didn't realize how dedicated those teachers were to, the whole child, even down to those little 4-year-olds. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing. You talk about silver linings for COVID. I think that's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And that the yeoman's work that our teachers do and the sacrifices they're making, I think on average probably most of them are 12-hour days these days with the hybrid delivery models. And so it's a particular moment in our history, and they've really heroically stepped forward and allowing themselves to be present as much as possible. I think our schools continue to monitor as closely as anyone and, taking into account the data and everything else. But the ultimate deliverable is to be present, to flourish, in communion. We are social animals, and to be present in the learning environment where they're interacting with their peers and their teacher face to face. My Episcopal motto: seek his face, seek his face. So his way. But the benefits that flow, into the family, that also then not only lift up a parish, especially as they're present for Mass and other things. And I think that's always a kind of evangelical call, kind of a prophetic challenge that this is seamlessly connected with the liturgy, the Eucharist, and that one doesn't just say, well, if I've sent them to school, I can kind of kick back here. I've done my job as a parent. No, it's living at and that witness that's there. I see that, the Holy Family School. I see that in other schools, St. Teresa's. There's something palpable there, and it's hard to always kind of quantify that, but it's present. But when we want to hang some numbers on things, can we think about how the larger church and our larger society, our country, how does Catholic education profit them?
Well, I think we can look at, we don't have to look very far. I look at the members of my board, all of the committees down at the diocese, the leadership in our own city, and, you see the impact that, the Catholic schools can't take the credit for all of Iowa Nice. But, hey, we can on this show. It's, I look at the people that, I interact with that are products of Catholic education, and they're not just smart people, which they are. They are concerned with the root cause of lifting up the community. And I think that's a part of why we are Iowa Nice, that we are rooted in that, it's not just about me. It's about, again, that service above self thing. That's why we live in this community. That's why I love Iowa. It's one of the reasons I love Iowa. So,
yeah,
there you have it.
And I think that, all right, lots of schools, young people grow up with a service ethic today in our culture, but the sense of a common good, the kind of glue that holds us together, and that life is that primary common good, and all that we do part that. So it has something more enduring than just kind of a one-off service opportunity as well. Well, we should probably talk a little bit more about the nuts and bolts about CTO and how that, the mechanics of that, and how people can claim personal benefits. We don't have to divorce ourselves totally of self-interest in all this.
Yeah. Well, any way people want to give me money, they just need to let me know. It's a leave no stone unturned kind of year because, again, thanks to that bipartisan leadership at the State House, we get to raise $600,000 more than we did last year. As opposed to saying I have to raise it, we really get to, because that's going to help these families. And so, I'm really leaving no stone unturned. If you run into me on the elevator, I'm going to ask you about CTO.
Remind me to take the other elevator.
Okay.
I'm among the converted, okay?
But yeah, we a lot of stock gifts are coming in. There's appreciated stock for those farmers that have been blessed with a good grain crop, and the prices are good for those. Supply and demand, that price is going to go up for those farmers. They can donate grain, credit cards, all those kinds of things. And we even take checks. Can you believe that?
What kind of instrument is that?
I know. It's this little oblong document. Yeah. But yeah, it is so, the benefits. Again, I was talking to a group of friends last night, leave no stone unturned, right? And I said, folks that I always use the $10,000 example, right, Bishop?
So you have 10 seconds, and then we're going to have to carry over past the break. All right.
Okay.
So don't get too technical here.
Oh,
right?
Man.
We might have to hold off as well. And we're conscious, as we mentioned, the farmers, that many are not doing well, but some others were telling me that they're expecting a bumper crop.
Yeah.
So Kelly, is it time to take a break?
That's right. It is. We're going to take a quick break. It's Making It Personal, Bishop Joensen.
Thank you, Blessman International, for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio. Everyone lives their life 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. How we use that time directly affects if our life will leave a significant impact or not. Each year, Blessman International leads Central Iowans on a 12-day, all-inclusive experience sharing the heart of Christ with children in South Africa. Teams are forming to do something significant in an African child's life. Learn more at blessmaninternational.org. That's blessmaninternational.org.
Is it time for a new roof? Then it could be time for you to get to know Bell Construction. Bell Construction is a roofing company entering its 30th year of business. They specialize in residential re-roofs, light commercial jobs, and have the experience to meet all of your roofing needs with personal service. With Bell Construction, the owner will come to your home or place of business in person to inspect and ensure the quality of work that you deserve. They pride themselves in working with you on a personal basis and making sure you are satisfied. Bell Construction, 515-963-4494.
Welcome back. I'm Kelly Mesher-Collins with the Diocese of Des Moines. We are back with Jeanne Wells, Executive Director of the Catholic Tuition Organization.
Thank you, Kelly. And I don't want anyone writing in or texting and saying, I'm sexist in any way. Kelly, is it time to take a break? Is it time to get my car washed? You're not my personal valet.
Time to get coffee. Yeah, I just run to Starbucks during your interviews.
I've got some dry cleaning that needs to be picked up. This is going south very quickly. All right, so pull it back. All right. Again, the mechanics of the deductions, and you were going to tell us a little more about that.
I will. I'll do the short version, Bishop.
Thank you.
Someone gives $10,000 to CTO. If they don't itemize on their federal return, they're going to get $6,500 of that back that they're not going to pay in Iowa taxes. So yeah, that $10,000 would have cost them $3,500, but they saved $6,500 in taxes. So really, they saved out of pocket $3,000. Now I don't know about you and me, but if I can save $3,000 somewhere, I want to save it. So whether it's $30 or $300 or $30,000, depending on where you move that decimal point.
Yes.
And if you itemize on your federal return, it's even more tax savings. If you're a C Corp, there's even more tax savings. folks just need to call me and say, how would this work for me? And I'll give them
and let's remind folks, so that it's not just simply being parasitic on the state or on the country in any way. How much is Catholic education saving our governments, or saving our people of this good state?
Okay, so just for the state of Iowa, there's about 10,000 students statewide that get this assistance from the various school tuition organizations, and the state sends a check. I believe it's $9,600, $9,800 for each public school student to the public schools. Mm-hmm. So let's take the low number. That's $96 million a year versus the $15 million in tax credits. Again, I don't know about you, but I think that's a good savings for the state.
Besides, of course, forming citizens of the state, and hopefully many of them will stay here, but wherever they're going, who they are. And I understand there's a matching opportunity here with the Reichardt Family Foundation.
What a blessing.
Is this connected with the famous Bill Reichardt? When I was growing up, and my parents would let me watch Beat the Bear too late on Sunday evening, and I own the store. Is that the one? Yeah.
Well, that's the patriarch. So the Reichardt Family Foundation is Doug Reichardt, his son, and his daughter, Kristen Hall, who now has a child out at Dowling. And we had an opportunity to share with them the story about CTO and the impact it's having on so many students that are now able to attend Catholic school. So they provided these funds, these matching funds, and if we can use their name and their recognition to encourage others during this crazy year of financial challenges, they want us to be able to use that as matching funds. So, a $1,000 donation from someone becomes $2,000 because of the match that will come from the Reichardt Family Foundation. So we are so blessed.
So thank you to them. That's tremendous. And thanks to those who may be considering that. If they want to find out more and get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Go to our website. That's the easiest way, ctoiowa.org.
Beautiful. Jeanne, always good chatting with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bishop.
God bless you, too. Thank you. Very good. Well, Kelly, always nice to get good news out there, the gospel of CTO in that way. In the Universal Church for young people, thinking young people, the beatification of Carlo Acutis. This is an intriguing guy, isn't he?
Right, yeah. Yeah, well, Carlo Acutis was 15 years old when he passed away, and he was recently beatified. He was a computer whiz and had started documenting all the Eucharistic miracles taking place around the world. People have said he was just brilliant. He was self-taught, but he was very dedicated to going to daily Mass since he was about 7 years old, even though his family really didn't have, a strong faith. He kind of, evangelized to them and brought the family in. So, yeah, he was recently beatified.
I mean, I think that's a good message for, we're doing confirmations, our young people. They have an influence on their families. They can evangelize their families, and I think that's a call here, not to excuse themselves. So, very good. I'd love to hear more about Carlo. We'll look that up a little bit. I know his appearance there, but good to be with you, Kelly.
All right, this has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.